Do you know this tune? I'm sure you do. I'm sure everybody has heard this song in some shape or form, even though it wasn't a big hit when it came out. It is, of course, Halcyon by Orbital, and what we're going to be doing today is talking a bit about it, digging into the samples behind it, talking a bit about those artists and eras, and of course seeing if we can put together a version of it on this old sampler, the Bossman SP303. But before we do that, let's give it another quick listen. Really cool song, right? And like I said, it kind of has almost a cult status, or a long following, you might say. Lots of people know about it because of the different ways it's been used, right? As a rave hit and as a soundtrack to many movies and TV shows, and not just this version, but the other version, Halcyon and On and On. Before I talk about that, listen to this. Wonder what that is. We're going to find out later when we look at the samples, right? Another vocal sample. But yeah, Halcyon and On is the other version of this that's probably better known, but this was the single, right? And this is the one I want to look at. So before we do that, should we talk a bit about Orbital themselves and just say who were they? Because some people watching might not know, and that's okay. Orbital are two brothers. You got Phil and you got Paul, right? The Hartnell brothers. And they were from Seven Oaks, right? They are from Seven Oaks. That's in Kent. Down the train here, so the train from London that goes right through Lewisham goes down to Seven Oaks. And yeah, this was their breakout song, Chime. It was made in their bedroom as young lads when they should have been in school. And they put this together. It was and is an amazing song and very revered in the electronic scene. Listen to this. It's a great song, right? So they made that, like I said, at a pretty young age, and that actually did pretty well in the charts, right? And it was a big hit at raves, right? This is all around the rave scene, right? Late 80s, early 90s in the UK, when raves were all the jazz. Listen to this. Imagine being at a rave and that's playing. If you haven't done that already, you can imagine it. But yeah, they went to raves, they got into that scene, and they started putting out more and more music. The name Orbital even comes from the Orbital ring road that goes around London and had lots of raves happening around it, and people would just go there and have a lot of fun, right? So their sound was more of a IDM, right? Intelligent dance music, some would call it, alongside their peers, Future Sounds of London, Aphex Twin, and others. They were putting a bit more into the music than the kind of acid house that was out at the time. And they're all just different genres of the same rave sound, right? You hear the acid influence there. But anyway, they're well known for their live shows. They are legends in the game, and they're legends to me personally, right? I had a big connection to Orbital as a young man, and when I was thinking of this episode, I was like, a lot of things came back to me of being young and Orbital. So the first song that I have to mention is Halcyon and On and On, because it ties into the song we're looking at today, right? This came out in 1993 on their second album, and it was a rework of Halcyon, or a different version, right? Listen to this heavenly intro. Plan to do the breathing there, but it helps, right? Breathing deep always helps. But this song I first heard as a young skateboarder when I was around 11. I got a video called CKY2K. It was by Bam Margera and his friends, including Rab himself, Ryan Dunn, and Brandon DiCamillo, right, who does all the funny voices. And it was really like their kind of home videos that they started just putting out alongside skate videos with this Big Brother magazine, it was called. And there's a segment in that video where they go to Iceland and they're just doing their silly stunts and stuff. But this was the song used. And hearing it, I don't know, something clicked in me that I was like, what is that? Because I listened to a lot of rock music. I was kind of getting into what music I liked and stuff as a 10 or 11-year-old. But this hit different, right? And listen to this drop that comes up out of the intro. That bit of that bass, that groove coming in under the heavenly stuff, I was like, what is going on there? And then there's another drop where that vocal sample we heard earlier comes in. That's like a second smack. Listen to this. It's a bit different, right, to the single, but it's a brilliant tune. And that was thank you to Bam Margera, right? So that crew, they went on to be in Jackass, right, which came out shortly after, but they were kind of doing it first. So it was this song with them just like jumping into bushes and messing around Iceland, like doing pranks and hitting each other with pillows and being naked and skating and all this silly stuff. But I tuned into the music, so I loved that segment for the music, right? Another artist that I was introduced to through that same video was Aphex Twin, right? Come to Daddy was in another segment, right? So it was mainly rock, and there's a band, CKY, that has some great riffs, right? But they did a lot of the soundtrack, but Bam Margera had picked out this and Aphex Twin, and I went in on those artists and started trying to find out more and more about them, right? So then there was ways to get music, right? Obviously physical discs and stuff, but I didn't have any money as a 10-year-old. I didn't have the internet really out in the country. It was very, very poor, beyond dial-up. So I went to school, started seeking this out, and one fella who was my older friend's friend, David O'Leary, so shout out to him if he's watching. I don't know what he's up to these days, but he gave me a CD of, what does God say? Sorry, I forgot about this part, but he gave me a CD of Orbital, right, of his selection of songs, one of which was this song. Are We Here? It's a 15-minute track that just evolves and changes and has different parts, and I had heard nothing like this at the time, right? It was just like pure creativity on this CD, right? So this song I loved, and I'm going to show you a couple of parts of it, right? The first is around the 3-minute mark. can hear what I mean, right? That even sounds futuristic now. And I was just kind of like in my room playing that on my speakers, being like, what? And I loved it. I listened to it so much, right? This big long track. So shout out to David O'Leary for introducing me to that. And yeah, that really got me more interested in music and making music and understanding what was going on. And me and my buddies would try and, you know, make music using tools like Dance EJ or Rave EJ or this type of stuff. We just didn't know what was out there, right? We didn't know anything of these devices or that. We were just trying to do what we could with computers and stuff. But listen to this bit. I'm going to show you one more bit that I really like from this. I have here that that's actually the singer from Goldfrapp, as a fun fact. I might fact check it and put it down here, but I wrote Goldfrapp next to this. Love that, right? And Orbital have loads of great songs, right? Belfast, I remember that song as well. That was in a tape called Human Traffic, and they have just loads of great songs. Impact is another one. The Box was on that. The Box Part 2 and Part 1. Insane stuff, right? Kind of like this weird vibe. But yeah, I couldn't play all of the songs, but Orbital, shout out to the lads, right? Absolute legends in their own right. And yeah, enough about that. Why don't we take a look at the samples, shall we? The first sample we're looking at comes from Opus III, It's a Fine Day, released in 1992 and considered a classic dance tune. Take a listen. Really catchy, and those vocals are Kirsty Hawkshaw, right? So she worked a lot with Opus 3, but this was the first song she did with them. There's a great interview with her talking about this that I urge you to check out, and she describes how she had to sit in this kitchen for recording. She surrounded herself with crystals and she pictured herself singing to this little boy in the other room, which is why it has this lullaby quality and this soothing quality. So shout out to Kirsty, right? And she was being asked to emulate a song. And that's what's interesting, is that this is actually a cover, right? It's a cover of a song credited as Jane, but it's a Jane Lancaster, and it's a poem by Edward Barton. And it was released a cappella originally. Let's take a listen to that. From 1983.
It's a fine day, people open windows, they leave their houses just for a short while. They walk by the grass and they look at the grass.
So that's Jane Lancaster singing this poem, and it's actually inspired by families affected by war and widows and women left at home while their husbands go out fighting mindless wars, and how they're impacted, and they go about their day and they say it's going to be a fine day. So it's quite sad and relaxing at the same time. So it's kind of weird that that became like a uplifting rave anthem, but yeah, that's the original. Another side fact is that it was used in a Japanese Karinexu commercial, And people believe that commercial was cursed, right? So there's some lore for you there. So this is another bit that isn't really in the songs.
To sit in this field, but never quite did.
Very sad, right? So that version was the a cappella that Opus 3 probably originally used, and that's why they wanted Kirsty to re-record it quite close to the original. But funnily enough, later on in the 90s, some Italian lads sampled this and put out it as Miss Jane. And then ATB, the German DJ, made a mix of that, which is well known. ATB got stuck into the a cappella in the late 90s, even though Opus 3 re-recorded it in the early 90s from the a cappella that existed in the early 80s, and Orbital sampled the a cappella of the one in the early 90s. We're getting convoluted here, but shout out to ATB and his plucky take. Good stuff, right? But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk a little bit about Kirsty for a second. And enough about Kirsty for a second. Let's talk about her dad for a second, right? Sideline Alan Hawkshaw was a legend, right? Rest in peace to her dad, Alan Hawkshaw. First of all, he was playing keys, right? Particularly the Hammond organ, right, which is a great sound. He played that around the 60s and 70s. Here's him playing with Bowie.
The blazing sunset in your eye.
That's Bowie at the Beeb, right? I think it's John Peel sessions or something like that. But that's Alan Hawkshaw. He also played with the Shadows. Played with Cliff Richard, played with Donna Summer, one of her albums, right? So he was a fairly established keys player. Listen to this solo he does at the end of this. Shout out to Alan Hawkshaw for his amazing work on the organ. But that's not all, folks. Oh God, no. He went into the elusive world of library music in the 70s and 80s and started composing for TV shows and movies and adverts and anything that library music sits into. He composed this that was used for something. You know this one. That is the TV theme tune of the news on Channel 4, right? That's one of his. He also did Grove Street, and he also did this banger. That's right, Countdown was the one and only Alan Hawkshaw. So he's probably better known than Orbital in a lot of ways, right? Or Kirsty, because of his work in this. There you go, right? Little fun fact. Alan Hawkshaw, shout out to him. One of the great ones, right? And that type of library music was really important back then, right? Creating the library of music that people would use and choose. And dig into Alan Hawkshaw a bit. He's very interesting. Maybe I'll do an episode on him in the future. But Next on my playlist, the playlist has brought me back to Opus 3 and this song Hand in Hand, which is one of the ones I know from them best. And this is the Perfecto mix. This is Paul Oakenfold's remix of Opus 3 Hand in Hand that also has Kirsty on it. Brilliant stuff, right? That sound, lads. There's something amazing about this early type of trance. Shout out to Paul Oakenfold and Steve Osborne, I should say. They were perfecto, right? And that's, I think, something to come back to It's a Fine Day. And Kirsty, she probably paved the way for trance vocalists across the whole last few decades, right? Here we go. Stuff, as I can't play the songs too long because I'm getting shafted by copyright all the time, but listen to this chorus. Lovely stuff, right? And yeah, so she would have also collabed with Tiesto, Delirium, amongst others, right? And vocals are a big part of trance, right? Especially with the kind of Armin van Buuren side and the Anjuna beats. But also, like, when you think of raves and the whole view of that scene of just going and being relaxed, and it's a lot more hippie-ish than it is today. But people love those vocals that made you just feel at home. Now, there's one other song I'm going to play because I got so many sidelines here in the playlist, but it's okay, right? We'll be okay. I loved trance music for a certain era of my life, around like 14 to 17, we'll say. I loved trance. And I would listen to it all day. Like I said, I would try and recreate it on Rave EJ and that. I was DJing with Virtual DJ on my dad's laptop. It was all part of this kind of just love I had found for music. That was the sound I really loved. But it was hard to get music, like I said earlier, right? But with trance, what I found was secondhand compilation CDs, right? So I used to be dropped into town to go to grinds because I wasn't doing very well at school, and I would be dropped off to a maths grind on a Saturday morning, and what I would do is not go to the grind and instead go to this shop at the bottom of Patrick's Hill called Vibes and Scribes that I had just found randomly while bunking off, and it had on the third floor, it just had loads of secondhand CDs, right, for really cheap. And I found these compilations called Euphoria that you might have seen or heard of. There was loads of them, right, in the kind of 90s and early 2000s. And I loved the mixes. I loved how DJs crafted a set. And one of my favorite ones was Pizza Euphoria CD2 by Agnelli and Nelson. I think they're from Scotland or Northern Ireland or somewhere. Northern Ireland, I'd say Agnelli and Nelson. I'm not sure. You know, they're Irish anyway, actually. That's not a good accent. I think they're from up near Northern Ireland. Anyway, we'll leave that out. But they did CD2 mix. And this song, BT Dreaming, the Libra mix, right, had Kirsty Hawkshaw on it. And I loved this song, right? And I would listen to it in my Walkman when I first started driving. Nissan Micra K11, I used to blast this, and I'd forgotten a bit about it till I was looking up Kirsty Hawkshaw. But here, take a listen to this. It's brilliant. I loved this sound and this CD. There's great tracks on that, but listen to this little cheeky drop from a Mr. BT. I loved that tune, and like I said, when I was driving that Nissan Micra, I put this on, window open, smoking away, driving across Roof's Bridge, sun in the sky, just couldn't wait for the future. Look at me now, love to go back and do it all again, but this type of music just gave me positivity and I just loved it, right? I loved it almost as much as Kirsty's friend loved a guy from Orbital. Now, that was a strange segue, but I had to bring it back to that story. Kirsty's friend at the rave time was friends with, or was seeing one of the guys from Orbital, Phil or Paul or someone. And they had met and said, oh, we have to do something. They were like, yeah, we love your work. We'd love to do something with you. It never really happened. But then she got a phone call and your man from Orbital was like, Kirsty, I've done it. I've put you in a song. And she's like, what? He's like, I sampled some of your vocals. So he sampled the a cappella of It's Gonna Be a Fine Day. This part you hear right now.
It's going to be a fine night.
So now when we look at our layers, right? Opus 3 got Kirsty to re-record what was an a cappella, but they put out the a cappella of her, and that's what your man from Orbital took and sampled. So let's do the same, right? Before we do that, I have to talk to my buddy here, the boss man, Dr. Sample, SP303. His name is the Doctor. Isn't that right? Sorry? Sorry, apparently his name is Jonas today. So, what have you been up to? Making noise. Nice. That's what we like to hear. So, are you ready to crack on with the samples today, Doctor? Well, I don't have any tea to pour, but I do have the dregs of my coffee. So, why don't we get started? So, this bad boy is the best sampler ever invented. There, I said it. Big whoop-de-doo. And we're going to sample in this on empty banks. So let's get that sample into pad 1.
It's going to be.
So we're going to take a bit of that and we're going to loop it. Perfect loop alert. So what we do then, just like Missy Elliott, we lay it down, flip it and reverse it. There you go. That's the Halcyon sample, folks, the reversed a cappella of Opus 3. And what we're going to do is resample it. Let's add some reverb. Resample into number 5. And we want to start it on that. Another perfect sample. Thank you, Doctor. There we go. Let's move on to the next sample. The next sample we're looking at comes from a Mr. Bobby Byrd. If you don't know him, you probably know his good friend James Brown. That's right, the godfather of funk, Jamesy B. Bobby Byrd actually discovered James Brown and helped his career, right? They met in prison, of all places, in juvenile hall, as they say in the movies, and he helped get James out of prison and into a band, which was the famous Flames, right? So James, he played with them for a while, started singing with them, and eventually went on to be James Brown, right? And Byrd was involved the whole way along, right? Helped his solo career and had his own solo career, including this tune, I Know You Got Soul.
Yeah, I know you got soul. Hey, if you did, the blues wouldn't prove it. I know you got the feeling.
Brilliant tune, a stone cold classic, right? Sampled by Eric B. and Rakim, amongst many others, right? And what's interesting here is the reissue of this in the 80s had bonus beats on the B-side, right? Hot Pants bonus beats. So why do you think they would put just drum breaks on the B-side? Well, this is around the time hip-hop and all this type of stuff was blowing up and people were searching for breaks, so it made sense for them to give you some drum breaks on the B-side. And that sounded like this.
I'm coming, baby, I'm coming, come, help me.
So there you go, you've got perfect drums on the record for you to take and sample, as many producers did. That's why this has been sampled loads of times in all sorts of music, right? So let's do the same, and let's bring in those beats into the sampler. There we go, and we'll just loop that first bit. So this is the thing, right? I accidentally didn't press, but I think Orbital kind of takes that second part as well, but they just loop the first mainly. So let's do that. And then we want that to match the vocal. Maybe the vocals have to match the drums a bit faster. Ooh, a little bit faster. That's fine, it'll do. So there we have the drum groove and the vocal. Let's take a look at the next sample. The next sample I'm looking at is this little noise that comes in under the drums. It's like a boo boo, boo boo, boo boo. See if you can hear it. And I always thought that was a cool noise, and I was interested to see where it came from. It comes from the Imperial Brothers, who were New York hip-hop squad, or brothers probably, in the 80s, that did a lot of scratching, drum machines, synths, and of course rapping. Check this out.
That's enough, must you ask for more? So come on inside and don't be shy. We're not here to hurt ya, just have a good time. So come on inside and don't be shy. We're not here.
Pretty cool era, this kind of 80s hip-hop, because people were also getting crazy with electronic noises, right? That to me just sounds like the dawn of machinery in music, if that makes sense, which it might not. That's okay. Anyway, the B-side of this was We Dub to Scratch, right? Scratching back in the day, and still today, right? I don't follow a lot of scratching today, but it's such a great skill. And it was kind of like sampling, where DJs would pick certain things to scratch. And apparently WizKid, who scratched on this record, was a legend. Check out some of the scratching. Like he's scratching some kind of cough effect or something, but the whole B-side to this is scratching over the beat. But anyway, I don't know much about it, but it was very cool. But the beginning of this is where the doo-doo comes in. So let's take that in. And I believe it's those two, right? So let me resample into number 8. So it would be... Let's isolate them. sound right. This one. Good enough to party. Let's get into the final sample. Before I do the last sample, I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who watches these videos, who subscribes, likes, leaves a comment. It means a lot, right? This format, this video format of the music and everything gets heavily restricted. I don't think it gets pushed out as much. It can't make any money. It is an interesting one to do. I'm at risk of being shut down, so while I'm here I just love to see people interact and leave comments because I love to do it, right? So thank you. The other thing you can do is buy me a coffee through one of these links that appear somewhere. I'll try and get it up, but that means a lot. 2 people have done that and it's great, right? They're legends, those 2 people. I love them very much. But anyway, let's get into the last sample, and it comes from Y.E.S. They were a prog rock band in the 70s, and they were pretty well known, right? Had a lot of fans and made these big, epic masterpieces like this throughout the 70s.
Around a moment, clothed in mornings faster than we see. Getting over.
Good stuff, right? But like many of rock bands in the 70s, they had a bit of friction, and by the end, for various reasons, they decided to disband. And they were like, we're done, okay? But 3 members of the band were like, let's make a new sound, right? Let's do something different. So they called themselves Cinema. And they started getting more into this almost electronic-y sound that was popular, along with some of the rock elements and that. And then the old vocalist John Anderson came back, and they were like, get in here, John, we want some vocals. And they were like, well, we're practically Y.E.S now again, aren't we? And they were like, you know what? I think we are. And they decided to be Y.E.S and put out this album, 90125, right? And it was a huge hit, especially this song. Now, you probably know this if you've ever played Vice City on PS2. It's a great song.
See yourself, you are the steps you take, you and that's the only way. Shake yourself, your every move you make.
It's a brilliant song. You know this part. Brilliant stuff, right? I used to play that game a lot. Around the same time, actually, as CKY2K and all that kind of teenage stuff. So, very nostalgic episode, this one. But anyway, shout out to Vice City. Shout out to the lads who recreated the sound. And a lot of the fans weren't happy. They were like, what is this? This isn't the prog rock we love. But others were like, this is cool. This still has a bit of Y.E.S in it. And a bit of the sort of bass lines and other stuff they were known for. But it's a commercial success. Went to #1. And the album was well known. But the song Orbital sampled is Leave It, right? It's a brilliant, brilliant song off the same album.
Illusions as we take refuge in young man's pleasure, breaking down.
What a cool intro, but listen to the bass that comes in.
One down, one to go, another town, one more show.
Sorry, I was a bit early saying that, but You'll hear the sample and you'll hear the bass that I love. So just listen to this.
We have the same tree as the garden kings.
Experimental, right, for a pop album. And there they are. There's the Y.E.S, man. Good stuff, right? But that's not what Orbital sampled. Well, that version isn't. Oh, no, 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 no. They sample the acapella. So let's get that in as our final sample of the day. It's been a long episode, folks. I am hungry. But here we go.
We have the same intrigue as the garden kings. We have the same intrigue as the garden kings.
So that is what you hear. Let's go back to Halcyon because we want to show you that. Because I think I played at the beginning, but I don't know. Sometimes I forget how much of the song I've actually shown that we're sampling. But look. So there's two of them. We're going to re-sample that into number 2. And then we're going to probably need to slow it down. So this is stuttering, right? Sorry guys, slow down. This is stuttering, right? This machine, first of all, it doesn't handle tempo and pitch adjustments that well. But also it just sometimes does weird stuff. Like, why does it do that sometimes but not every time? Like, what is programmed to do that, right? It's so interesting. Whatever's inside this, it's magnificent and interesting. But we need to pitch down one of those. Let me hear it one more time. We're going to go with that. So let's put the level down on this a little bit. And let's just go with that, right? We've done quite a lot already and it's going on for ages. But look, we have and we have. So what we can do is Guys, I need to say that I think my SP303 might be dying because I haven't seen that happen, and it's happening a lot. So pray for the SP303 that it keeps going. We need you, buddy. Hang in there. Okay, we're going to figure out what's wrong, but that's it for today's show. We took a look at the samples. We did our thing. It's been going on for ages, so I want to sign off and say good luck and enjoy the rest of your day, night, and life.